Hey there, YouTube. My cheeks are so red today. Anytime that I'm in an environment that's not completely freezing, I guess, because back at my apartment, I'm just so used to being like freezing cold. Woo. Anyways, okay. I just got to the club. I'm trying to do 2 streams today. I just did a stream, what, like 30 minutes ago? Back in the okay, 3:30. Back in the Dollar Tree parking lot. And yeah, I just got here to the club. I'm trying to do another stream now. This is kind of like an experimental stream just to see if it's like possible for me to do streams back to back, I guess. I don't know. I did 2 streams and I basically did them back to back this past Thursday, and that seemed to go okay, other than the first one was cut short. But I really don't, the first one was already cut short well before I tried to do the second one, and I actually just tried to do the second one that day because the first one was cut short. So that first one being cut short, I'm pretty sure is because I was driving through an area that I don't usually drive through doing my streams. Yeah, I'm just experimenting with this right now. Just to see how it goes. So usually after I do a stream, I'm unable to watch it back on my phone in a regular way. It says that it's still processing, usually for like quite a while after I do a stream. It'll say that it's still processing for like 24 hours, but what I have been doing for a while now, and me saying this out loud will quite likely probably change this, because stuff like that tends to happen. I remember when I first started doing live streams, it never used to say processing afterwards, or I don't think it did. Or if it did, it didn't say it for very long. I know there was something different that went on for a little while, and then sometime after I started doing the live streams, it changed to where it said processing after I did them for a very long time, for like 24 hours afterwards or something like that, or just about for a while. I don't remember the exact details of how it went because I didn't like write it down or anything, but I already have enough stuff to try to write down. Anyway, so what I've been doing, because I'm not able to watch my live streams back in the regular way on my phone, what I did figure out how to do a while back was I'll save them to my watch later folder on my YouTube app. And for whatever reason, I am usually able to watch them back in the watch later section. Very confusing to me, but that's why I'm able to get, usually I'm able to get thumbnails for the videos shortly after I do them, or for the streams. Shortly after I do them, I'm getting them from watching them back in the watch later section. But if I try to watch them back in the regular live section of my phone, it doesn't work. It's very confusing to me. Yeah, but anyway. So, and that's how I knew that this past Thursday, when I did the 2 streams back to back, that's how I knew the first one had been cut short, because I saved it to the watch later folder and I went to check it back, and I saw that the original timestamp in the processing section, like the original under the live folder section of the page for my videos for the live streams, the original timestamp will originally post there or show there where it says that it's processing. But then once I save the video or the stream to the watch later, once I go into the watch later section to try to watch it back, whatever timestamp it says there, that's usually the timestamp that the video is actually going to end up being. So what'll happen sometimes is once I save it to the watch later, once I usually a few minutes after that or a short time after that, I'll go into the watch later to try to watch it back. And if there's a shorter timestamp on the watch back, that means that the full video didn't post properly. If that timestamp is shorter than what the original timestamp said when I ended my stream. So yeah, I'm sure none of that makes sense to probably most people. I wonder if anyone out there is like, oh yeah, that happens to me too, or if I'm just like the only person this happens to. Yeah, even me just saying that out loud, I confuse myself just trying to say that out loud. Like, it really is very strange to me. Like most things though, you know. Anyways, enough of that. Because I really can't, I feel like I'm not really even able to try to articulate that in a way that would make sense to anybody that hasn't had that happen on their YouTube if they're a streamer. Like, does anybody else out there that does YouTube videos, has anyone else in the history of YouTube ever had the same kind of stuff happen? Or is it really just me? Or it's like I'll never know the answers to these things, apparently. So yeah, anyways, I just got here to the club. I pulled up next to these 2 employee chicks that work here, and it looks like they were puffing the magic dragon. I love that term for it. I love that term, magic dragon. I think that means what I think it means. I hope it doesn't mean anything like more serious than what I think it means. I'm pretty sure it means like greenery or Mary Jane. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But that's what I mean by saying that, because that's what I think it means. I'm not sure, that's a song, isn't it? Puff the Magic Dragon. I'm not sure if I've ever heard that actual song before, but I know I've heard the term in a few different movies. But anyways. So yeah, I'm parked on the right side of the parking lot today. And okay, so I just got back from Dollar Tree. When I went into the Dollar Tree, the prices had risen yet again. I remember back in the day, not that long ago, a little while back, most things at the Dollar Tree actually used to cost $1. And then they went up to $1.25. Well, like most of the stuff there is like $1.25 or was, and then some stuff was $3, some stuff was $5. When I just went in there a little bit ago, almost all of the stuff that used to be $1.25 had gone up to $1.50. Although there were still a few things that were still $1.25, but it seemed like about half or so of the merchandise that used to be $1.25 had risen to $1.50. So that's really no good for me, but I wish there was a way to just like legally or like in a socially acceptable way just like opt out of stuff. Just be like, look, I am humbly admitting I cannot afford to exist. I can't afford things. I can't afford to exist. So what are my options here? Like, I cannot afford to exist. So why must I suffer to try to pretend that it's a possibility for me? Why do we play these games? Like, why am I not allowed to not? I don't understand. I don't know. Well, on a positive note, I think, so I was in the Dollar Tree for a little while, trying not to rush too much. After I got back to my car, I checked my last video that I did before I went in there, and I did what I've been doing for a while. I saved it to my watch later, and Immediately checked the once it was in the watch later, I watched it back briefly. Immediately checked the timestamp, and the timestamp looked correct. Like basically it posted the full length, I think is what it said, what it looked like. And then, although again, after doing this stream, we'll see. And also it did have audio. So those are usually the first two things that I check right away, is to make sure it had audio or has audio and that the timestamp is right. So far, again, doing the second stream so shortly afterward, I don't know if it'll affect it or not, but so far, once I just checked that video back from earlier, it looks like it so far has posted okay and properly. So that is something I'm pleased with, I think, I guess. I mean, yeah, definitely more pleased than if that hadn't been the case. So anyway, I wasn't, as I was leaving the Dollar Tree, at first I didn't think I was still going to try to do a video like once I got here to the club, because I mean, yeah, right now I only have 20 minutes before I go sign in. But I figured, again, it's kind of like an experimental thing just to see how this goes and if both of the videos post okay and stuff. I also just wanted to mention the thing about the Dollar Tree because that really sucks. because, well, I guess technically for a while now, even before they raised the prices again just recently, I guess, it feels like it's just like nothing in there is actually $1. I don't think anything in there is actually just $1. A lot of it was $1.25 for a while when I went there last, not that long ago. And now it seems like, honestly, it felt like about 25% of the merchandise was still $1.25 and like everything else was more than that now. So it's like, this is just the trend that seems to continue. This is the trend going into the future and like all of the present moments. So if prices only continue to rise, and that's just the trend that we've all accepted as a society, like that's just how things are always going to be, apparently, inflation or whatever we call it, then how does that work out for me? Not well, apparently. I'm still clinging to the hope that someday, somehow, I will be able to have real, true financial success with something. So far, that hasn't happened for me here at the strip club, but that I want to try to tell myself that doesn't mean that it's impossible. Here's the thing. Here's one of the many things for me here. I really typically try to avoid doing a VIP room here at this club. However, I have done them occasionally in the past. All of the VIP rooms here at this club are open, so anybody walking by can see into them. And most of them these days also seem to have cameras as well. So I really don't think that it's like a dirty club, or like we're expected to do more than what we say we're supposed to be able to do, or what they say, or like on paper it says we're supposed to be able to do. So that's nice, I guess. But I just know that, and like I hear other dancers, I get very different mixed reviews that I hear from other dancers. Not that I go around asking, but just from what I've heard, the information that I've heard other dancers offering up voluntarily, just what they've said on their own out loud, either to me or in my presence, I've heard very mixed things. I've heard dancers, because anybody pretty much can walk through those club doors, so we do get such a wide variety of guys and people that come here. So we can have the greatest people and also the worst, and also we can have both of that back to back in the same time span, in the same shift, even in the same hour. Sometimes technically we can have that like in the same 5-minute time period here. So it's just very, very psychologically strange, it feels like. So I've heard some dancers saying like the greatest things about guys that come here, and I've also heard a lot of horror stories as well. And yeah, it's pretty much just evenly split down the middle, or I don't know. I don't really hear that much about it, but like on a regular basis. But just in general, like throughout the years that I've worked here, I've obviously from time to time heard different things. And I just know for myself, the few times that I have tried to grin and bear it and do a VIP room, occasionally I've had decent experiences. Every now and then I've had good experiences where the people were great or the guy was great. But I would say for the most part, the majority of times that I've tried to push myself and kind of push my boundaries a little bit to try to do that, because normally I would prefer not to. But the times that I have pushed myself to like go ahead and try to do it, most of those times I have felt very uncomfortable and to where my boundaries were being pushed in a way that just, you know, bothered me a lot and has stuck with me throughout the years and really affected me in a negative way. You know, there is something about my personality and also the way that I look and project myself that does seem to give, especially guys, I mean, people in general probably, but especially a lot of certain types of guys out there, the idea, the incentive, I guess, whatever you'd want to call it, to, yeah, mess with me, and also just, I don't know if it's the blonde hair, the blue eyes, the combination, just that I tend to be very like kind of bubbly and pretty nice usually. You know, like kind of bad or uncomfortable things, I'll usually just try to laugh it off as best I can in the moments. Like I try to do that, but it also is like a pretty natural reflex, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, just a combination of stuff about me seems to give a lot of guys the impression that I'm easy to mess with or easy to try to take advantage of. Maybe I'm just a little too nice. Not strict enough with people, don't set hard enough boundaries, or yeah, I mean, if I'm uncomfortable, I'll try to laugh it off. I don't like to be rude or mean. I have had a lot of experiences in the VIP where guys were trying to get me to do more than what I wanted to do, but I don't blame that on the club. You know what I mean? I don't blame that on the club because as far as the club goes, I've actually heard of some dancers here being fired for going too far or doing too much. So again, I mean, but it's in that kind of situation, the club can only do so much with that kind of thing. And then when it's actually a dancer and a guy interacting one-on-one up there without anybody else in that actual VIP room, just because people can walk by, just because there's cameras, you know, it's still a very closed, intimate space. So it really is up to those two people or however many people are in that small space, how things really go in those moments. And it's really up to the guy a lot too, and the dancer. But, you know, guys can still pull a lot of crap and they can still say and do a lot of stuff, and then at that point it really is mostly up to the dancer to decide how to deal with that, you know, because again, the club can really only go so far unless, yeah, the dancer like goes to go get management, goes to go get a bouncer, or even just before that could happen, like really in those moments assertively herself says and does stuff to put an end to whatever might be going wrong or making the dancer uncomfortable, making them uncomfortable. I don't know. I've had guys, again, say and do a lot of stuff that I just didn't feel okay with, you know, and I tried to deal with it in various ways, but my way of dealing with things is usually to try to deal with them myself as best I can. So I've very, 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 very rarely gone to management about a guy here, like saying or doing something that made me uncomfortable. I think I've only actually gone, I mean, that's happened many times, but throughout the years, of course. I think I've only gone to management about it like once, only one time that I can remember. I can literally off the top of my head only remember doing this one time. And that was you know, that was a long time ago. I was a lot younger. It was all, I don't want to say it was a pretty extreme situation, but that was a situation where it was to the point where this was like a guy like asking for his money back kind of thing. Like to where I wouldn't do stuff that he wanted me to do, and he was actually like making a fuss to the point where he was asking for his money back kind of thing. So at that point, obviously I felt like I had to get management involved because, well, for reasons obviously. And I think it was actually up to management to give him his money back as well on top of that. So I don't remember the exact details. I do remember he was like an older guy and a veteran, and he left, I think he mistakenly left one of his like medallion pins that he had gotten for his service. He left it in like a couch cushion or something, and I noticed it as he had already left the room to like go to management himself, I'm pretty sure, and try to demand his money back. And then so I was still in the room for a moment, and I found this medallion in the couch cushion, and he was being such a a-hole to me that I was like, should I even bother to try to give this back to him? But you know, I felt bad, so I did. I walked back out the room to go meet him in like the management, like, you know, sign-in section. And I think he was like already like yapping and complaining to a manager about our interaction and like not getting his money's worth or whatever he was trying to say. And I was like, you know, sir, you forgot this or something. That was so long ago. I'm pretty sure that's the only, so actually he might have been the one to go to management anyways. I'm pretty sure that was actually him going to management. So, wow, I don't know if I myself have actually ever even gone to management myself, like with something happening like that here. Because that was honestly the only time that I could remember like getting management involved with something like that. But again, that might have actually been him that initiated getting management involved. I really can't remember exactly. I do remember the part about the pin that I gave him back. But yeah, I really can't recall myself ever like really actively going to management myself about something that had made me uncomfortable in the VIP, because again, I try to take responsibility for myself in those situations, and I feel like it is pretty much up to me to assert myself and say and do my part to try to protect myself, because at the end of the day, that is my job and nobody else's, regardless of where I am or regardless of what the situation is. So, but anyway, so yeah, I have a lot of bad memories from bad times of attempting to try to do a VIP room here. And the club that I'm at, you know, this really is a very VIP room focused club because we're in a small town. It's mostly a bunch of like older regulars. It's not like a bunch of young rappers that come in and just make it rain everywhere. You know what I mean? It's, especially the regulars, it seems to mostly be like older gentlemen, although I'm using the word gentleman pretty loosely in a lot of these instances and a lot of the cases for a lot of the people that would fall into that category, or not, or maybe somewhat, but anyways, so to varying extents, to varying degrees. So, and then I feel like I could be a very stage-oriented dancer. I mean, technically I am, but as far as actually trying to make money here, I do a lot of pole tricks. I really feel like I do pretty good on stage, or I could, if I felt more able to work the busier nights, like where you actually get, or dancers actually tend to get more stage tips, like Friday and Saturday night. But Friday and Saturday night, they use this smoke product that I'm very, very allergic to. So I've tried to push through that, you know, many, many times throughout the years, and it just really makes me sick. And it's made me so sick that it psychologically also kind of almost gives me panic attacks to a point where I feel like, you know, I mean, that's almost happened to various extents as well for me in the past. So it's something that I try to always watch out for as well. And I just really don't feel able. It's like I can do pole tricks. I love to go on stage. I feel like I'm exactly the kind of dancer that can put on a really great show for the crowds, and especially the Friday and the Saturday night crowds. But it really does suck because, again, it just so happens, like completely randomly, of course, that Friday and those are the same nights, the same times that they're really especially using this smoke product that I'm very allergic to, and that's, you know, doesn't seem to be a very healthy thing for people to be exposed to, and, you know, especially in large quantities like that, when it says specifically on the bottles of the stuff they use to use it only in well-ventilated areas. Strip clubs are notorious for not being well-ventilated areas. They're very enclosed, usually small enclosed spaces. So anyways, the combination of all this just really makes for many difficulties for me to try to actually make a living this way and have an income this way. So yeah, I don't know, it's just never really worked out very well for me here with that. But I still stay here for other reasons, you know, mostly for the workout that I get. But I don't know, between just stuff on the internet especially, like I just want to cling on to that little bit of hope. Probably not my YouTube, but who knows, maybe my YouTube in the future. But especially there's this website that I'm signed up on. I don't know if I'm still signed up, but I have been in the past, and it's like more of an adult kind of themed sort of website. I've tried streaming on there in the past. I haven't had any success really with that either. Very, very small semblances, like almost like a tease of where it's like, oh, sure, you could maybe be successful with that, but I've never really been successful with that either. But I'm still clinging on to that hope that maybe it could be a possibility. I mean, this is America after all, where I'm from, so sure, why not? Let's just entertain the possibilities because they're just so entertaining. If only I could be as entertaining as these possibilities are, right? I try, still trying. Anyway. Yeah, I've said all this stuff before in various different videos, but I'm just gonna keep saying it again because why not? It's on my mind a lot, so why not say it? People repeat themselves all the time. And people still forget stuff all the time. You know, both themselves and the people they say stuff to. In one ear, out the other, or for myself especially, I'm like ADHD, so it's like in my brain and then it's not, and then I forget, and then I remember sometimes, and sometimes I don't remember. But anyways, this video is experimental anyways, this stream. I'm just really wanting to see if I can do this after just doing the last video that I just did, or the last stream that I just did shortly before this, see if they both happen to be able to post okay. I have a few minutes. Yeah, just a few minutes before I have to go sign in, so I'm gonna go do that. Shut my trap and stop complaining for now. Just take a breath, and hopefully this shift goes okay. I'll have to try to remember if it is the Super Bowl tonight, because I think it might be. I'm pretty sure I might have heard that. But anyways, if it is the Super Bowl, I hope you guys out there have a great night and enjoy it. Hopefully I'll be able to come back on tomorrow, or sooner than later, as I like to say. And so I'm gonna peace out for now, but bye for now, guys, and thanks for watching.